Hello there, friends. Today we're going to be doing something a little different than normal. And by that, I don't mean actually finishing a video game. We are going to unbox and build a miniature from the tabletop game Warhammer 40,000. I've always been intrigued by Warhammer. I never got into it throughout the years. The lore seemed way too dense, cost of entry seemed too high, and the game seemed far too complex. Now, I've got time for hobbies, but I really don't have that much time. But a few weeks ago, I had an itch to start something new. I'm trying to be healthy again, get back to the gym, and cut out some negativity from my life. And what better way to do that, I figured, than pick up a board game where humanity is trapped in a perpetual war. But in all seriousness, though, I stopped by the Warhammer store on a whim. The employees there were very, very helpful in sort of giving me a crash course on the lore of both Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar. They suggested I pick something that I thought was cool. I like the idea of Space Marines. That's really the most ubiquitous thing, and the only familiarity I had with Warhammer was Space Marines. So I picked up a starter set, and I got to work. I really just intend to build and paint and catch up on lore. Now, my first set was Infernus Marines, $35 box. It came with some paints and some models and a brush. The instructions are handy dandy here on the back. And I built one model a day for a week and a half, 2 weeks. And the best part of it is you can see your progress as you paint day by day. And more than that, it's just while I was painting, the time absolutely flew by. I didn't even notice how long I was spending. I was relaxed. It was a ton of fun. And I figured I'd document my journey here with Warhammer, building, painting miniatures on YouTube. These aren't going to be guides or tutorials or anything. I'm just sort of having fun and making like a video journal or vlog, I guess. I don't know what they call them these days. So the next thing I got was this here box of Bladeguard veterans. Went to the store. They looked cool. I like Space Marines. I just started reading the prequel, or one of the prequel series to Warhammer 40,000, which is set in the Horus Heresy in the year 30,000. And I just started the first book, Horus Rising, and I am locked on Space Marines now. So got these Bladeguard veterans. They look super cool. They've got swords and rifles and guns and shields and little halos. So I figured we open it up, unbox it, see what it's got inside, and then we'll build and paint one for my first foray into this documentation of Warhammer 40,000. I've got some Warhammer video games that I never played. I really liked the idea of playing Rogue Trader because I like playing Pathfinder. I like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but I never actually got more than 5 minutes into that game. It was just, I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to read and follow along, but it was really is too dense. So let's show you my progress in models real quick. So this was the first Space Marine I painted. And you can see he's a little rough, but I tried to follow the instructions on the box. Came out all right, I guess. I do have a background in architecture and engineering, but I haven't done art in a very long time. And then this was my second Marine. Again, you can see the progress got a little better. Some more detail, some more colors, some more shading, more attention to detail. And it was really fun. And then I got up to this guy, and I think I did the best job so far. There are some details that I didn't do that I did on the second model, but I think the shading, highlighting, the whole situation here, holsters, all that, I think it came a long way from Model 2 to Model 3 here. And I've painted some Dungeons & Dragons models I got from the comic book store and a couple other things. Alrighty, so let's open her up. Got myself an X-Acto knife. Be careful when you're using knives, fellas. Not too worried about the box here, just want to open it up. That is a tough plastic to open. Alright, or maybe my knife is just not sharp anymore. Nope, there we go. I did buy a bunch of different art supplies. May not be the best example for what you want to do when you're starting out a hobby, but I figured I'd give it my whole effort, if anything. So I did buy a wet palette, I bought a couple of paint brushes, and I bought some extra paints as I've been into this for a while now, or a couple weeks, whatever you want to call it. So here we go. The Bladeguard veterans. 3 miniatures are in this box. Here is the rear, some different combinations of gear and attachments you can put on them. Made in the UK by Citadel Miniatures. Box a little dented, but I don't think that really matters. Now these are going to come on sprues. I have built some Gundam, so I'm familiar with model making at least. They're going to come on some plastic sprues, so we have to clip them out, and then we're going to have to glue them together. They are not push fit like Gundam are. And this is what comes inside the box. So we've got our booklet with how to assemble. Read this first. The Space Marine Bladeguard Veterans booklet. Before assembling your miniatures, please read through the instructions in this booklet carefully. A pair of plastic cutters is required to move the plastic components in this kit from their frame. We advise using a mold line scraping tool to clean up the parts. To assemble your model, you will need plastic glue. Games Workshop sells Citadel fine detail cutters, Citadel mold line remover, and plastic glue. We do not recommend these products for use by children under the age of 16 without adult supervision. So 16 or older. So we've got here 3 sprues with parts, a wet transfer sheet with some decals, and 3 bases. See that here? It shows you how to assemble. So these green and blue means that these are different variants where you can assemble them. And on page 2 here you see there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 different variants you could use per model here. Very interesting. Take a look through. All right, so let's follow this one step at a time. And then on the back here, you've got the combat statistics if you were to play the game with these models. Okay, here's our transfer sheet with our decals. Pretty cool. Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Salamanders, and Raptors are the different companies that you can paint these as, I suppose. Not sure exactly what color scheme we're going to go with. What Brotherhood of Space Marine exactly we're going to choose. All right, then we got our bases. 3 plastic bases. There you go, 3 plastic bases. I guess they're larger than your average small model. These bases are bigger than these ones. Maybe we'll put some more detail on these guys. And then we've got here 3 sprues. We got them numbered on this side here. This is the right way up. Kind of cool. The other models I've built were bigger sprues with way more parts and way smaller. So the first step, and this is without any variation. So for this sergeant, it calls for piece 19, piece 18, and piece 17, and to assemble those 3 first. So that is what we are going to do. So let's look for 19, 18, and 17, and we'll get our clippers and cap my knife before I accidentally slice myself open on camera. And that would not be pleasant for anybody. Get my clippers. I've got 2 glass files in here and a sanding stick, as well as my nippers. I will take my files out. I will take my sanding stick out, because we may need those. And let's look for pieces 19, 18, and 17. So I see 18 here. That is piece 18. I see 17 here. That is 17. And do we have 19? 19. And here is 19. I tend to do these just like I'm assembling Gundam. Cut, and I'll leave a bit of the sprue on there as well. 18. So that I can go back in later and clean up the detail without leaving stress marks on the plastic. And we need 17 as well. Okay, and we could probably do more, but I'll go slow for this one model here. We'll do piece by piece. So, seems like an insignia. There is a cross and looks like, oh, this is his belt buckle. So, cross, belt buckle, and a pouch. We're going to take our nippers and then we're going to get really close to the point of contact. Close as we can get, really. Try to make a clean cut. Alright, this one's a little hard to see, but that's alright. So that guy here is done. Then we're going to go to the front half, his torso, and we're going to get here. Bring our clippers in close. Perfect. And again on this one. Perfect. And we'll sand that away with the sanding stick and clean it up with the X-Acto knife. And down here. And we will sand that down as well and clean it up with the X-Acto knife. That's in another part here. You just want to make sure you're not clipping off anything that is a feature of the model and not part of the sprue. And the rear part of his torso, get in close and clip as clean as we can. Very nice. Also very nice. And down here, he's got some terrain attached to him down here. So we're going to really adjust the angle of our clipper so it's square, right? We don't want to cut at an angle and then cut into that terrain. Trying to get as flat as possible. Then we've done it. And now it calls for plastic cement. It wants us to cement the belt buckle to the front and then the torso to the rear torso as such. So let's get our plastic cement and let's do just that. All right, let's get our plastic cement and glue this together. I've just got some Testors plastic cement. And first things first, we're going to get this belt buckle attached to his belt. I will test it first by placing it and seeing where it fits so that I can accurately place it once the cement is applied, because once the cement is applied, the glue starts to fuse the plastic almost immediately. So you are going to want to know, maybe I skipped a step. Let me Let me clean up some of this first before we start gluing. I guess being on camera's got me a little bit out of sorts. So I'm going to uncap my hobby knife and just start to shave. Try to get anything that's not a flat surface flat. And you want to be careful when you're using a knife. If you've never used one before, practice first. If you're a child, make sure you've got adult supervision. And we're going to sand the rest. Now there is a slight mold line here on this piece. Not sure if you can see it. You may be able to see it there. We're going to use the back of our knife to scrape that off, not the front. Just want to be gentle. I don't have one of these Citadel recommended mold line removers, so I just use the back of my knife to scrape it off, and it is gone. I'm just inspecting the front of the torso for any other mold lines, but I don't see any. Okay, let's do the rear torso as well. I'm just going to run my knife across this, make sure it's all flat, and we are going to sand it down in a second. Also inspecting for mold lines so that we can find out if there are any mold lines here that need to be fixed, and we saw one right here on the boot and on the leg. Now if it looks a little rough, that's fine. Once we prime and paint, you won't even notice. As long as you get the line off and we sand it down, you won't even notice the little scratches. Alrighty, that one is done. Is there a mold line anywhere else that we can see? Up here on the hip plate. And we've removed that. Alright, I don't see any more on this fella. Oh, there is one down here on the inner thigh. I'll just scrape that off a little bit. Again, when you're working with knives, be careful. God save me if there's any mold lines on this little guy. I don't think so. That's done. I'm going to get my sanding stick. I'm just going to run it over the top of this one. Clean them up. Okay, so the top of this pouch where the sprue was is clean. And do the same here on the shoulder. Okay, that's clean. We're going to do it here again. I just want to make it smooth and flat. Get any bits out so that the cement doesn't stick to it. Lightly rub over the area where we clean the mold line on the boot. Get it nice and square. And then on the base here with the feet. Essentially anywhere that we touched with the nippers. And these are nice and clean now. You can still see where the cuts were, but they are nice, smooth, and clean, and once you've primed it, you won't even know they were there. I'm going to do the same with the front torso. The contact points where the sprue met the model. That one might be a little tougher. We might need the glass file for that one. So let's get the glass file out, and I'm just going to rub it, casually rub it, until it is flat. You can place it on a flat surface as well, and we'll pick it up to do this last one here. And then again on this little piece of cloth. Rub my finger across it just to make sure it's nice and smooth, and it is. Alright, now let's get the glue. So we will cement it on. Alright, so first things first, the belt buckle area is here. And we're just going to use the smallest, absolutely the smallest drop of cement for this. Just enough to get it wet. I'm actually going to wick some of it away with my finger, because that may be too much. And then with the fingers I did not touch it with, we're going to put the belt buckle in. Alright, yeah. Good thing I did wick it away, because it is still bleeding over even with me taking some out. And we've touched it. It's going to melt and fuse together. Perfect. While that is drying, we're going to apply some cement to this piece. The manual recommends we do it down the leg and are all around the torso and neck. So we're just going to go in gently with the cement, just touching, getting it wet, not soaking it, just getting it wet. And then we're going to take the torso and press them together. And there you have it. Alrighty, so we'll let him dry and let the plastic melt and look for the next pieces. So we're going to need pieces 36 and 35. So we see 36 here, and where is 35 and 35 here? 35, 36. Grab our nippers, popped right out. And we're going to take our nippers again, and like before, get as close as we can. Try to avoid stress marks. Now that one's going to need the knife to get in there and clean that nub. And this one. Perfect. Let's check for mold lines. There's a mold line on this side here, so we'll clean that up. Let's get this one finished. There's a mold line on this side as well. So I'll just get the glass file from the get-go now, and we're going to hold our piece and rub the glass file gently as the plastic comes away. This one is a little raised, so I'm going to take the knife and shave it. I did make a mistake there, I went a little too far, but I will take the glass file and shave it down. It should be next to impossible to notice it once it is primed and painted. This one needs a little more attention to detail. Alright, that part is out. Take the sanding stick and we'll take the tip of the glass file. And while it looks a little rough, it actually is smooth. Okay, so now we're going to glue these two pieces onto his legs in figure B. So we're taking figure 1A and gluing these two. 36 goes on the front leg and 35 on the rear. Both leg plates here are on. And we'll let them dry while we look at the next step. So we need piece 21, which looks to be his scabbard, and piece 20. And we're going to glue them on his belt. And here is piece 21. And piece 20 is right there. Okay, so for his scabbard here, we'll get close to the pouch, snip at an angle, and again here, we're able to get that mostly clean, and sanding it down will clean it up. Here is our last piece. Just a little sanding will clean that up. We'll inspect it for mold lines, that I don't see any, and then we'll get our file and just rub them. Just gently until it's flat. And nice and flat. Same with this here on the pouch, and now here on the scabbard. We get our knife first and run that across it, and then we'll grab our file and file it off. Now we're going to glue them from the rear, I believe. So we'll turn this torso around, and then we glue from the rear. So just a piece of glue here, then on the back, and then on the side here. And how does this fit first? First and foremost, how does that fit? So this triangle here, there's a triangle on the back. It fits into the triangle, like so. Okay, so let's glue that one first, while we figured out how to glue it. And we're just going to hold it till it takes, and then let go. Don't want to squeeze and get any excess cement anywhere. But as long as they're attached, we are good. Thought there was a bit I'd forgotten to cut off, but that's actually a feature, so. Little spike there on his, looks like a tablet of some kind. A little spike. And then this little guy gets placed here. It forms a full plate once you put them together. Okay, fair enough. So let's get the glue on here. And we can fix that with the sanding stick once it's all fused. Okay, so his scabbard and belt are all together. Pretty cool. Now while that is setting, there are 4 variants we can do here. Rifle and shield, sword and shield, sword and rifle, or just him cleaning his sword. I think for the first one we'll go sword and shield for the first one. So we're going to do variant 3. Okay, for variant 3 we need his pistol and holster, so that's piece 32. And here is piece 32, pistol and holster. And there are some mold lines on here, so we'll take our knife and rub them out. Alright, mold lines have been removed from the gun with the holster. Put a dab of glue here and set the gun in that tab. Now we need pieces 22 and 28. 22 and 28. And those are his arms, and we're going to glue them here. So I'm assuming they're on the same sprue here. So here's 22, and 28 should be around here somewhere. I see 27. Oh, there's 28. So let's clean up his elbows here. There are some fairly glaring mold lines on this one. Okay, and we'll take our file and round them off. But I think there are pauldrons that go over these. So it's not the end of the world if they're a little deformed. I will pay attention with the sword, however, because that one will need to be clean. And then down here on the elbow, clean that up with the file. We'll clean the mold line up with our knife. And there's a mold line here on this elbow as well. We'll get that gone with our knife. And we'll finish it off with the file. And there's a mold line right there as well. And we will glue those on. Let's see. Just a bit of cement on here. Just one drop. And we'll put his arm in place. Trying to get the position right. But he's on now. Some cleanup we'll have to do after it sets. And let me get the other arm on. And this arm is set now. Perfect. Now for the next step, we need piece 29 for the shield to attach to. And then piece 30, which is the shield. So let's get pieces 29 and 30. So there is piece 29 and piece 30. And then we'll glue it fist facing down. Let me just clean up the edges really quickly. Alright, file them smooth. Then we are going to touch the cement to the fist here. Just a small drop. Okay, and as you can see, they are aligned up there. And while that sets, let's clean up the shield with our file. And they are nice and smooth. Okay, and now we glue the shield to the plate here. So we will put some cement on him. Again, we don't want to put too much. And there we go. Shield placed. And we will let that set. He really is he's in a very aggressive or exaggerated stance. So our next steps are to get 65, 66, 67. So pauldrons and backpack. 66 is here. So we've got him. 67 is here. So we've got him. And our backpack. Backpack is not on here. 65. I guess for the first time we're going to the other sprue. Oh, there's backpack right away. 65. All right, let's clean up the pauldron. And we'll have to go in with a knife on this backpack. Okay, there are mold lines on the backpack, so let's go through and clean them up. And then let's glue them all on. Nearly done. We've only been building this model for about an hour. And there are 2 more to go. Alright, so let's get the fins facing forward. So fins face forward. Paste them on like this. Oh, okay. So it says to coat the shoulder with the cement. So both shoulder pauldrons are on. Had to do something funky and reattach the shield really quick. He's looking good. I think we just wait for the shield to set and then we can look at what the next step is. Pauldrons attached. Backpack attached. Oh no, backpack's not attached. Oopsie. Skipped a step. Okay, backpack is now attached. Waiting on the shield to set, then backpack to set. Shield is being wonky. Alright, so then what is the next regular step? Oh, so now we choose a head. And we choose a breastplate ornament. Let's give him one with a helmet. And then we'll give him a breastplate with a skull. So one of these has a skull right on it. I guess we'll select the one with the skull. Although I might want to paint that separately and save it for later. Let's leave his skull off for now. We do need a big breastplate ornament for him though. I think we'll give him the one with the skull and the parchment. And then we will add his breastplate ornament. Pick him up. Slide the breastplate ornament in. Okay, there it is. So everything except for his helmet is on. So we will stand by and let that set. For goodness sake, I'll add the helmet. And we'll have his head looking the same way as his sword. Yeah, or should we have it same way as his shield? Yeah, probably shield, because he's looking at what he's holding the shield up against. Okay, and there is our finished, completed Bladeguard veteran. Once this sets and dries, we will prime him and paint him, but that is going to be another video. If you've stuck around this long, thank you very much for watching. See you soon. Let me know if you like Warhammer rather than watching me not finish video games, because I will definitely do more Warhammer if that's the case. Alright, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.